For most automakers, a car crash often means sending a dozen or so cars to a crash test center, where cars are tortured, will be destroyed and abandoned in most cases. The more expensive the car, the more money the manufacturer has to spend for tests. Here are some of the biggest spenders in the industry. Velar should fill the gap between two other popular models, Range Rover Sport and Range Rover Evoque. The model is made pretty well. With a V6 engine with 376 horsepower, the car is complemented by a massive interior for people who appreciate high-tech comfort. Range Rover Velar passed Euro NCAP crash tests. The crossover earned 5 stars, although no one expected a different result. The car with 6 airbags protects the front riders well in frontal collisions, but the safety of the rear passengers is not that good. During a frontal impact with an undeniable barrier, increased loads fell on the chest of a dummy sitting behind, and the seats do not protect the neck well in a rear-end collision. With a stronger side impact on a pole, Range Rover Velar even scored the maximum numbers of points. In addition, the emergency braking system proved effective in helping to avoid collisions at almost all test speeds. Audi Q8 Euro NCAP crash test. The tests have been carried out since 1997 and are based on a 5-star safety rating system. After several tests, the car is awarded a rating. The more stars, the safer the car. Tests of Audi Q8 crossover also didn't present sensations. The 2.2-ton SUV scored 93% for protecting adult passengers. Points were deducted for possible damage to the driver's chest in a frontal collision with a partial overlap. The safety of children and adolescents is rated at 87%, the safety of pedestrians at 71%. Smooth results with no obvious punctures allowed the car to get its 5 stars. The new Tesla Model S has become one of the safest cars in the history of crash tests. The electric sedan received the highest 5 stars in each of 3 tests, the government agency said, when simulating a frontal collision, side impact and collision with a pole. Moreover, the tests were carried out according to a new methodology made more severe in 2011. The company claims that the greatest merit in this belongs to the layout of the car. Due to the absence of a heavy engine in front, which could move back on impact, the legs of the driver and front passenger are much better protected from injury. In addition, the sedan is characterized by increased structural strength. For example, in independent tests, which included a simulation of a coup, the roof withstood 4 times the curb weight of the car and even damaged the test equipment. However, experts are not sure that Tesla S is absolutely safe. Engine misalignment can be hazardous to rear seat passengers in a rear-end collision. Euro NCAP has announced that Taycan has become Porsche's first all-electric car with a 5-star crash test safety rating. The new concept of the front of the car allows you to create ways of redistributing the load in such a way that it is possible to meet the requirements of accident prevention and at the same time free up space for a spacious front trunk. Pedestrians are protected by an active hood. In the event of a side impact, the high-impact forces are absorbed by the body shell, as well as the high-voltage battery integrated into its structure. This concept allows Taycan to provide the highest level of passive safety and protection of the driver and passengers with a minimum weight of structures. Structural elements of the redistribution of the load, which are activated in the event of a rear impact, are made of lightweight aluminium. Mercedes-Benz G-Class was tested as a part of the European New Car Assessment Program. For overall safety, it received the highest rating, 5 stars, but at the same time failed frontal crash test. So, tests simulating a head-on collision with another car showed poor driver protection. It is rated as weak, only the 4th level out of 5. The main damage occurs in the chest. As a part of such full-scale test, the car moves at a speed of 64 km per hour. Crash tests with stationary obstacles across the entire width of the body also gave very mediocre results. This time, the front passenger suffers more. The driver's security is rated at a C grade as marginal level, which is slightly better than in a head-on collision with another car. In other tests, car performed well. For example, a side impact, people inside may feel relatively safe. It's a sad fact that incredibly expensive, highly coveted cars have to be smashed to pieces in the name of safety. But we have to admit that we quietly enjoy watching the carnage. Mercedes-Benz SLS-AMG has had its time with a protective barrier, and the video proves that a 200,000 supercar can hold its own against international wall of destruction. The offset collision showed that virtually all of the energy had been absorbed by its long front end, while the cockpit remained largely intact. But what if the SLS lid flipped over and the gull-wing doors stopped working? To comply with federal standards requiring a door to be operational in the event of a rollover accident, Mercedes-Benz built explosive charges into the hinge pins so that the doors could be blown open in the event of a rollover. In early November 2010, Lamborghini announced that their Murcielago line has reached the end of production. As you can already get, there is no crash test rating from IIHS or Euro NCAP. Many supercars don't release their safety ratings, and the Murcielago was no exception. Model is known as Super Velar. In addition to steel doors and the roof, the entire body of the car was made of carbon fiber. During a frontal impact, the car must rely solely on the frame and the front of the hood to absorb the damage, which it did very well. After the impact, the hood was crushed, but the cabin remained intact, despite the lack of the engine in the front. A crash test for any car model is designed to see how the car reacts to normal use in the real world, which can include high-speed crashes, rollover damage, and emergency braking. Numerous crash tests are needed to obtain accurate data on multiple crashes. Bugatti Veyron hasn't been tested with IIHS in the US and Euro NCAP in Europe. For obvious reasons, it's too expensive to smash $2 million cars. Bugatti used only one car for each test, which the company then fixes year after year. Bugatti also uses its own crash simulation software to simulate a real collision. Digital tests cost thousands of dollars, but it's still more affordable than destroying almost 2 million Veyron. If a brand is really serious about a crash test, it will take about a dozen of cars to generate enough data for comprehensive ratings. In other words, a dozen vehicles will be sent for destruction. For a niche automaker like Koenigsegg, it doesn't make financial sense, since it produces just several cars a year. Koenigsegg actually uses only one car per test and repairs it every time. Most of the damage occurs on the outer parts, which are relatively inexpensive compared to its chassis and other components. Koenigsegg only needs to make sure that the chassis will withstand all the tests. This suggests that there are no safety ratings from NHTSA or Euro NCAP. Pagani Huayra is not only eye-catching but also stunning, with a V12 that generates 790 horsepower. This vehicle hasn't been crash tested by IIHS or Euro NCAP, but again, Pagani is not required to take someone else's test. They were interested in breaking it themselves in a real test drive which took place in Germany. Huayra performed very well. The driver and passenger were not injured in the incident shown in the video clip of the crash test, which is available on the internet. The design of Pagani Huayra is shown to withstand a frontal impact, which has the strength to shatter a standard carbon fiber piece.